Epic Originals presents My Pet Slime, Saving Cosmo, Book 8, by Courtney Scheinmel and Colleen A.F. Venable. Illustrated by Renee Carilla. Performed by Rachel L. Jacobs. For Zach. 5. Get out of jail free. I've always been really good at origami. I can remember how to make a lot of things by heart. Here are some things I can make without any instructions at all. 1. A crane. 2. A frog. 3. A paper cup. The cup was the one that was going to save us. I folded the Monopoly money as quickly as I could. An origami paper cup? We already have cups, Claire said, holding up her empty milk glass. These aren't for milk, I said. I made my last fold and popped open the top of the cup. Perfect! I made a second one and then motioned for Claire and Grandma to lean in, and I quietly told them my plan. Grandma Sadie smiled. I could tell she was proud. Brilliant, Pipsqueak, she whispered. Okay, are you ready? I asked. Claire nodded, and Grandma gave a thumbs up as she sat down on the couch. I stood on the couch and put my legs over Grandma's shoulders. When she stood up, I felt like the tallest person in the world. Well, maybe not the tallest in the world, but definitely tall enough to reach the cameras. I took one of my origami cups and placed it over the lens of one camera. It was a near-perfect fit. Wow, cool, Claire said from the ground. When we get out of here, can you teach me how to make those? Definitely, I said, proud of myself. I quickly covered the second camera, and then Grandma Sadie set me down. Okay, kids, hurry. We don't know how long it'll be before they notice that they can't see us anymore. But we'll be ready, Grandma Sadie whispered. We got to work, keeping our voices low so they wouldn't hear our plan. It took about 5 minutes before we heard fast footsteps coming down the hall. We crouched near the door. When the lock clicked, Doreen, Uncle Ricky, and the other Mala bad guys who had taken Cosmo all rushed into the room. What is... Ack! Doreen didn't get a chance to finish her sentence because she fell, slipping on the marbles we had spilled all over the floor by the door. The other Mala employees tripped and landed right on top of her. Our plan had worked. Go, 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 Grandma Sadie said as we ran out of the open door, careful to avoid the marbles. Hey, no, Uncle Ricky cried as we pulled the door closed. It shut with a clank and a click. Those were the best sounds I had ever heard. Let's go get Cosmo, I said. I have to do one thing first, Claire said. She walked up to the door and raised a fist. Tap, 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 tap. It was the secret knock her dad had taught her. The one he had used with Uncle Ricky when they were kids. You don't get to use the knock anymore, Uncle Ricky. I'm telling my dad what you did. Claire turned back. "We can go now," she said. She looked sadder than I had ever seen her. Grandma Sadie yelled at the door to cell 7. "Hold tight, Eric. We'll get you out." "Follow me," Grandma Sadie said. We ran down the long hallway. The dark hallway's walls were plain and gray. I thought about how perfect they'd be for Banksy, an English artist who likes to draw on random streets, bridges, and walls when no one is looking. Drawing on random things that don't belong to you sounds like something you shouldn't do. But no one minds it when Banksy does it. Their art is really valuable. Spotting something new by Banksy is a really big deal. Actually, Banksy isn't even their real name. No one knows Banksy's real name. Lots of people have tried to figure it out, but it's still a mystery. We reached the stairs and rushed up them. "There's the racquetball courts," I said, pointing to a big set of glass windows and forgetting all about Banksy. "Someone left a ball in the hallway," Claire said, holding up a dark blue rubber ball. Grandma crouched down by the door next to the courts. "Then that must be the lab they have Cosmo in. Be careful. There may be more Mala employees around." I stood up and looked into the lab's tiny glass window. There was Cosmo, but he looked different. He wasn't purple or even yellow. He was green. Suddenly, he turned back to normal slime, and I knew someone else must be in the room with him. The Mala employee with the long gray goatee sat down at a computer near Cosmo. He had his lunch bag open and was typing away with one hand, while holding a sad-looking sandwich with the other. His back was to the door, and I noticed his keycard on the desk. "It's just one guy, and I see his keycard," I said. We could hear the lab guy talking to himself through the door. "I don't know what Doreen thought she saw," he muttered. "This blob is definitely not alive." "How do we get Cosmo out of there?" Claire whispered. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a bunch of the dominoes Uncle Ricky had given Grandma Sadie earlier. "With these," I said. "I have a feeling you have another plan, Pipsqueak," Grandma Sadie said softly. I did indeed. 6. Bowling for slime. It took us a few minutes to set up the dominoes. Claire held the racquetball tight to her chest. "You ready?" I asked her. "My mom and I go bowling all the time. I'm ready," she said. We crept past the door to the lab and down to the end of the hallway. Then we hid just around the corner. Claire held the ball like a professional bowler. She took a deep breath and rolled. The ball sped down the hallway in a perfectly straight line. It was headed right toward the first domino. Or so we thought. It missed by less than an inch. "Oh no!" Claire cried, then covered her mouth. "Don't get upset quite yet," Grandma Sadie whispered with a smile. "Because here's the thing about rubber balls. They bounce." And Grandma Sadie knew all about physics and angles. It was actually a perfect shot. The ball hit the wall and ricocheted twice, knocking over the first domino and setting off the chain reaction. I knew it was going to be loud, but I hadn't realized how loud. The dominoes started falling in the hallway and then wound into the stairwell and down the stairs. Clack, clack, clack. Clack, 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 they went. The Mala lab employee opened the door, muttering, "What on earth is that noise?" as he walked down the stairs to investigate. While his back was turned, we rushed into the lab. Cosmo came back to life and smiled, but he didn't look quite right. His eyes looked sad. "Cosmo, are you okay, boy?" I asked, my heart filled with worry. "Cosmo is green. What does that mean? Was someone lying again?" Claire asked. "I'm afraid that's not it," Grandma Sadie said. "I think Cosmo may be sick." I started to hug him tight. "Be careful, Pipsqueak. You don't want to hurt him even more. This lunch bag looks soft enough to protect him," Grandma Sadie said. She dumped the rest of Goatee Guy's lunch onto the floor and gently put Cosmo in the bag. Then she grabbed the key card off the desk. While the Goatee Guy was still on the stairs, we took the elevator back down to the cells. I could hear Doreen yelling at her staff in cell 9. If I hadn't been so worried about Cosmo, I probably would have laughed. Grandma ran to cell 7 and put the card against the door. We heard a click, and the door opened. "Eric!" Grandma Sadie hugged the man who came out of the cell. "This is Eric, girls. He's the Mala employee who helped me." "Pretty sure that's former employee," Eric said with a laugh. "No time for introductions. Let's get out of here," I said, and started for the exit. "No, not that way. It's not safe," Eric said. "I know another way." Eric walked to a spot on the floor. He put his hand on the wall and slid a tile aside. Underneath, it was a secret button. A real one this time. A trapdoor opened in the floor. "This way," Eric said. Then he jumped through the hole in the floor. I wondered if we should trust Eric. What if he was like Uncle Ricky and was just trying to trick us? I looked into the lunch bag, hoping Cosmo would give me a hint. But his eyes were barely open and he still looked more green than anything. Grandma Sadie jumped in. Then Claire jumped in. What should I do? I rested my head on the bag that held Cosmo. I had to be brave. So I jumped. 7. The Plastic Chariot. Whoosh! It was a slide. Down I went. Down the longest, darkest, most twisty slide I'd ever been on. It was super scary. Maybe if this had been a slide at an amusement park, it would have been the fun kind of scary. But since it was a slide at Mala, it was just the scary kind of scary. And it took a very long time. The whole way down, I couldn't stop worrying. What if it was a trap? What if Eric had been nice to Grandma Sadie just to trick her? What if we were just sliding down to another cell? A worse cell. A cell located far below cell 9. Painted all Vanta black. The blackest black there is instead of all white. What if we never saw the light of day again? I twisted down one last curve, and the slide spit me out in a plop right on top of Claire. Ow! She said. Sorry, I told her. I rolled out of the way and dusted myself off. I peeked into the bag. Cosmo had come back to life, but was still light green. You okay, boy? I asked him. He gurgled. Everyone all right? Grandma Sadie asked. Yeah, I guess, I said. Now up those stairs, Eric said. Claire started to follow him, but I grabbed her arm and stopped her. What's the matter? She asked. It could be a trap, I whispered. What if Eric is like Uncle Ricky? Claire's eyes widened. A trap? She practically screamed. Wham! Claire said to Eric. He stopped and looked back. Huh? He asked. Wait a minute, Claire said. Why should we? Well, I'll be, Eric said. That slime in your arms just blinked. Cosmo had popped his head out of the bag. My heart soared. Eric was a good guy. This is Cosmo, I said. He's my pet. He doesn't come alive for just anyone. It's just Grandma Sadie, Claire, me, and now you too. Amazing. Once we're all safe, I want to hear all about him, Eric said. Okay, I said. I turned to Claire. Cosmo trusts Eric. I think we can too. The four of us, plus Cosmo, raced up the stairs. But it's hard to race up so many flights. After a while, you start to slow down and puff and puff. About halfway through, I had to stop and catch my breath. We got to the top and Eric pushed open a heavy metal door. I had to squint because the sun was so strong. The sun! That could only mean one thing. Hooray! We're outside! I cheered. We were standing in a parking lot outside the building. Claire twirled around. I miss you, sunshine, she said. I missed you, fresh air. I missed you, sidewalks and buildings and street signs.
You can say hi to the street signs later. We have to keep moving,
Grandma Sadie said, walking quickly. Where do we go now? Mama knows where I live, and Uncle Ricky knows where Claire lives, I said. Claire shook her head sadly. You think you know the members of your own family, but I don't know Uncle Ricky at all. I patted Claire's shoulder. Grandma Sadie took a deep breath.
There's only one place to go,
she said.
My lab.
You have a lab? I asked. I didn't know that.
No one knows, Grandma Sadie said. Not even your mom. Not even my colleagues at Astroblast. It's kinda like Batman's cave. A secret that I've kept hidden for years.
Whoa, Claire said. Whoa was right. I guess Claire wasn't the only person who didn't know a member of her own family as well as she thought she did.
Okay,
Eric said, stopping.
The bus should be here any minute.
The bus? Claire exclaimed.
Oh dear. I can't imagine Doreen will tolerate being locked up long enough for that,
said Grandma Sadie. If only we had a scooter, I said. Uncle Ricky totally owes me another scooter, Claire grumbled as we followed Eric around the corner.
I'm so sorry, Claire,
Grandma Sadie said.
I understand it's sad to lose your favorite scooter.
You scoot? Claire asked her.
With the best,
Grandma Sadie said.
There they are!
Came a shout from a window of the Mala building. Doreen and Uncle Ricky had gotten out. What are we going to do? Claire asked nervously. I looked around. I saw an overturned orange shopping cart, a bunch of messy fast food wrappers, a mostly used roll of duct tape, and a pair of smelly work boots. Gross. People need to clean up after themselves better. Also, who goes home without their shoes? But then, I got an idea. I looked at Cosmo. He was still green, but he seemed to know exactly what I was thinking. Do you think you can do it, boy? He nodded his little head and smiled for the first time since we'd rescued him from the lab. Quick, Claire! Take the laces out of those boots, I said. Ew! No, thank you, Claire said, holding her nose. But then she looked at me and realized I was serious. Like a good friend, she sighed and started to unlace the boots. Grandma Sadie, Eric, help me pick up this cart, I said.
You got it, Pipsqueak. I have a feeling you've cooked up a plan in that brilliant brain of yours,
Grandma Sadie replied as we lifted the cart back onto its wheels. Claire handed me the shoelaces. I grabbed the duct tape and taped one of the laces to the front left wheel and the other to the front right wheel. Everybody in! I yelled. Grandma Sadie jumped into the cart and helped Claire and me get in. We buckled our helmets quickly.
Doesn't someone need to stay outside to push?
Eric asked. The Mala crew was running out the front door of the building. Cosmo will do it. Get in! I yelled. The moment Eric swung his second leg into the cart, I whispered to Cosmo and hugged him very, very gently. I know you're feeling sick, but please try. You've got this, Cosmo. With that, Cosmo activated his superpowers and we were off. Eric nearly fell over. The cart flew out of the parking lot faster than I ever thought a cart could go. I pulled on the left shoelace and the cart turned left. I pulled on the right lace and the cart turned right. It was working. I steered us toward the sidewalk.
Is Cosmo doing that?
Grandma Sadie asked. Yep, I replied proudly.
Well, aren't you full of surprises?
She said, smiling at him. Behind us, Uncle Ricky and Doreen had gotten into a car. Faster! Claire cried.
I don't think we can go any faster,
Eric said. But they're gaining on us, she said. I was afraid to look, but I couldn't help myself. I turned around. Uncle Ricky was hanging out the passenger side window. We were done for. Or so I thought. I was so scared that I closed my eyes and hugged Cosmo really tight. Go, Cosmo! Claire yelled. The shopping cart was going faster and faster. I twisted around, watching as Uncle Ricky became a smaller and smaller dot behind us until we couldn't see him at all anymore. We did it, Grandma Sadie said, throwing her arms up in the air as if we were on a roller coaster. We had escaped. For now. Make an origami paper cup. 1. Get a square piece of paper. If you only have rectangle-shaped paper, cut it into a square. 2. Fold the paper in half by bringing the bottom corner up to the top corner. 3. Bring the top corner down toward the fold so that the edges meet. Press down, unfold it. You should see a nice diagonal crease line. 4. Fold the left corner to the end of the crease. 5. Fold the right corner to the upper left corner of the folded flap. 6. You should have 2 flaps of paper at the top. Fold the front flap down. 7. Turn the paper over. Fold the other flap down. 8. Open the pocket. You have a cup! Have they really escaped, Mala? Find out in My Pet Slime, Saving Cosmo, Book 9.